What's up, everybody? Well, I have a little bit different of a video for you guys today. Today, I figured, why don't we test the actual battery life on these things? How long can you play these games for? Figured since I've got frickin' the old and the new version of both the Ally and the Steam Deck, why don't we find out? So I figured we'd start off with something super easy. I'm gonna play some of this HoloCure, which is pretty much just like Vampire Survivors with frickin' VTubers. So we'll see how long that lasts. I'm just gonna grab my iPad and use it as a giant timer. I'm just gonna hit play, and as I hit play, I'm gonna hit the start on the timer. Now, we're not sitting here fiddling with the TDP to get the perfect lowest TDP we get. We're just doing this like a normal person would. I'm gonna pick up this game and play. So there's obviously gonna be some room for improvement. So we'll try HoloCure out first as the easy to run game. Then we'll move on to some American Truck Driving Simulator, which is still one of my favorite games to just chill and try to wind down for the night. And then we'll finish it all up with some Cyberpunk. Now, luckily you see me play all these so many times. You guys don't gotta watch me play. We're literally just doing, I'm just gonna come over here every once in a while and be like, hey, how long is this doing? It's been like 50 minutes or an hour. How are we doing on battery? Kind of thing. And then, of course, once it finally gives me the critical battery or shuts off, whichever happens first, well, I'll hit stop and we'll see what time is like on each and every one of these. So, of course, we'll start off with the original Steam Deck. So, let's go and get started. All right, guys, so here's how we're going to start. We got ourselves the original Steam Deck LCD, and this is the 512 gig etched glass version. Used to be the top of the line before the Steam Deck OLED came out with their limited edition and their terabyte model and all that stuff. So this thing's obviously pretty old, but let's see what it can do with the battery life. So we'll start off, just like I said, we're just gonna go up. There we go. Starting launch. We got everything going. We got the timer going. So let's go get started, shall we? Well, all right. Been playing for like an hour and 8 minutes so far, and it seems like we're down to 49% battery on this game. So probably going to get like a little over 2 hours for a game like this is what it's looking like. But let's go find out for sure. I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. Although, picked the wrong character this time, got owned in like 10 minutes. It was terrible. So, time to pick a different character, I think. Well, all right, guys. It finally died, and it made it 2 hours and 2 minutes playing that game. Now, once it got down to 10% battery life, it pretty much just tanked all the way down to the 4. But then it hung around 4 for like a minute or two, and then finally gave the shutdown out of battery. So, at least with HoloLive, not lowering the TDP or limiting the frames or anything, just hitting play and go, you can get like 2 hours of gameplay out of a game like that. And remember, mine's old, it's been plugged in, just sitting there, probably fucked the battery up a little bit. So other people might get like 2 hours and 10 or 15 if you took better care of yours. But anyway, now it's time to move on to the old school Ally and see what that can get us. Well, all right, guys, it is now the old school Ally Z1 X Extreme, or whatever the heck it is. No, it's Z1 Extreme. That's what this one is. The X is the new one. But anyway, we're gonna play the exact same game. Again, not lowering the TDP, just hit and play, letting it do what it wants to do. So of course, there's definitely room for improvement, but that's what we did with the Steam Deck, so just gonna keep it fair and do the same thing for everything else. So, just like last time, here we go. We're gonna go ahead, get started, and we'll see how long this one lasts in comparison. All right, the original Ally is dead, and it lasted us for this particular game an hour and 31 minutes and 31 seconds. So not the best showing in the world, but definitely still decent amount of game time. If things though we didn't do anything, we could have lowered the TDP and not let it just be 25 watts, this, that, and the other thing. But just going with what we did with the Steam Deck. We didn't limit it to TDP, we're not limiting anything else. We're just gonna play it the way it is. So now we can go ahead and let's move on over to the Steam Deck OLED and see how well that does. Well, it is now the time of the OLED Steam Deck. Let's see how it can handle this game. So just like the rest of the games, we're gonna hit start and go right away. Let it do its thing. Play anyway. Go. Jeez. But that's what we did for everything else too. So, is what it is. So, I'm just gonna go and play a little bit more here and we'll see what this one can do for battery life. Well, all right, the Steam Deck OLED is dead and its battery is really fucked over. It got to like 18% battery and just shut off. And then I tried it, I was like, there's no way. But no, it's down to 1%. Tried to turn it back on. So it made it a whopping 3 hours, 36 minutes, and 16 seconds. So far that is definitely the leader of the pack of the battery life, but I believe the Ally X should be able to win. But hey, let's go find out. Well, all right, guys. Now we're going to do this HoloCure Live on the Ally X, and this will be the last thing. Then we'll move on to a more advanced game. But this should, in theory, have the highest battery life. The Steam Deck OLED did like 3 hours and 30-some minutes, so this should be able to do at least 4, maybe 5, who knows? But I guess we'll find out, won't we? So let's go hop on in. Start the timer at the same time. Yep, same thing as on the other ones. Yep. And all right, let it do its launch thing. We're doing exactly what we did on everything else, so let's go and see how long it lasts. Well, all right. It seems as though the Ally X has finally ran out of electricity, and it made it to 3 hours and 56 minutes. So definitely not bad at all. Definitely the winner. But I figured it's actually gonna get quite a bit more than the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, got 36. So it only beat it by like 20 minutes or something. Mind you, I could have, messed with the TDP, lowered the frame rate, all sorts of stuff to get even more battery life on these. But this is just kind of a fun test, not super scientific or anything. So now, why don't we go move on to a little more advanced game on all of them, starting with the original Steam Deck again, just like we did with this little thing. Now, I don't think we're gonna get too much gameplay in any of those, but still, we're gonna go do that American truck driving simulator. And then after that, for the AAA title, we'll do Cyberpunk, which again, probably is not gonna be played on any of these too awful long. But we're still gonna see anyway. So let's go hop on over to the Steam Deck LCD. All right, well, back to the Steam Deck LCD, and we are going to do ourselves some American Truck Simulator. So just like before, we're just gonna start it on up, same time as we start the thing, otherwise that would not be very good. So now I'm gonna go play this until it dies, just like the rest of the stuff, and we'll see what it makes it to. Well, all right, the Steam Deck has died, and it actually did better than I thought. It got really close to the same score as HoloLive. We got an hour and 21 minutes and 21 seconds. I figured it wasn't even gonna make it to an hour, so go Steam Deck. Obviously an hour and 20 minutes is not the longest time to play a game ever, but hey, considering its age, and I have not been very nice to the battery, it did pretty damn good in my opinion. So now, why don't we go and move over to the old school white Ally. So now let's see how the old school Ally Z1, or what was it, Z1 Extreme does. Hopefully it'll do pretty good, but this is the one that's probably gonna struggle to even do an hour. Although its battery proved to be not as bad as I thought. I think it got all the way to like 2% or 3% before it died. The Steam Deck went from freaking 20% and just plummeted down to like 3 in less than a couple of minutes. So hopefully we will be able to do at least an hour. But hey, let's go ahead and give it a start. Play anyway, don't care. We're not doing this to play the game. If my cloud stuff gets all messed up, it's whatever. So now we're just gonna go hop in, play until it dies. Well, all right, the Z1 Extreme Ally is dud, and it didn't even make it an hour. We got 5139. But this thing does have a really small battery, and I'm sure it's slightly worn from just sitting around plugged in for a long ass time before I decided to do a little battery test on all these guys. So now, let's go see how the Steam Deck OLED handles this game. Now is the turn of the Steam Deck OLED, so we're gonna hop on into this American Truck Simulator game, and just like before, we're gonna go ahead and go like that. Probably gonna complain about out of date. But anyway, don't care. I wasn't pushing it in the right spot. Sometimes touchscreens can be somewhat temperamental, but in any case, time to hop into the game, and let's see how well it does. Hopefully this one can do like 2 hours and some change or something. That would be nice, but hey, time would tell. Well, all right. That is that for the Steam Deck OLED. It did a little bit better than last time. Last time I only got to 18 and just shut off. This time it got down to 15% and it just shut off. So still the worst battery out of all the stuff I've got, that's for sure. I don't know what the heck I did to that thing. I guess just leaving it plugged in all the time when I'm not in use and never letting it really get down to 20% battery. Or actually that's about all I ever did let it get down to, but it is what it is. We still got 2 hours and 22 minutes and 3 seconds of gameplay out of that. And that's quite a bit, but it is now almost 5 in the morning. I've literally played video games from when I got up until now. So that's definitely pretty fun, but it's definitely time for bed. And then luckily, through wonders of video editing, I can just finish this up tomorrow and do the Ally X for this game real quick, and then we can do Cyberpunk. All right, it's another day, ran out of time. Got to be like almost 5 o'clock by the time the Steam Deck died playing this game last night, so I was like, nope, it's about bedtime for me. So now it's another day, and we're going to see how long the Ally X can play this game for. And then after that, we'll go hop into the Cyberpunk and see how the AAA title does to these things battery life. So let's get started. We'll do what we did with everything else. Start at the exact same time. It'll tell me, of course, that the freaking cloud isn't saved. That's okay. We're not doing this to play the game and actually get anywhere. Although I did get a couple, trucks to their destinations. But most of the time the thing dies in the middle. So now let's go see how long it can last. Well, all right, that's all the Ally X wrote. And it actually didn't beat the Steam Deck by as much as I thought it was going to. But more powerful and all that stuff, even with the bigger battery. But we got 2 hours and 33 minutes. Now, if I remember correctly, unless I'm remembering completely wrong since I did this last night, I'm pretty sure the Steam Deck did like 226 or something like that. It'll only be about like 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. It's not that much, considering it has an 80 watt-hour battery versus a 50 watt-hour in the Steam Deck. But hey, it is what it is. Still, 2 hours and 33 minutes of a game is pretty damn nice on a handheld. Most of the other ones, like the two older ones, as you saw, struggled to even get an hour, and one couldn't even get an hour. So I'm very curious how they're going to do on Cyberpunk, though. I'm pretty sure none of them are going to be that impressive on a AAA title like that. But hey, that's what we're going to do next. So on to the Steam Deck LCD. So now we're going to test out a AAA title on these guys. So we're going to start with the LCD, and we're going to do Cyberpunk. I'm just going to run around the city, get into a bunch of mischief, and we'll play until they die, just like we did with the rest of the stuff. Now I'm curious, can this even get us an hour of gameplay? Let's find out. Well, alright. I found a weird little bug that didn't used to happen on the Steam Deck. So I figured I'd just show it real quick. This is mostly a battery test video, but when things mess up, I like to show it. So I was playing for about 20 minutes. Everything was going good, getting like 30, 40 FPS. Still playable-ish. I was having fun, just going around killing some bad guys. And then after a while, here we go, it started doing this. And I don't know about you, but that definitely would take a lot out of the game. I would not be having much fun if it did that. Now, it always comes back and goes back to being normal again after, like, I'd say 20 seconds maybe. 15, 20, something like that. So I don't know, is it just maybe shifting resources around? I noticed it's definitely using a lot of RAM and VRAM. The CPU's sitting at 95, 97%, and there we go. Now it goes back to normal, see? And this game does push it pretty hard. We're getting 90-something in the GPU usage and 80s, 90s in the CPU as well. So maybe it's just like overheating or something. Who knows? But ever since 20 minutes, it kind of does that off and on, kind of randomly. But anyway, I just wanted to show that off real quick. I thought that was kind of peculiar. I wonder if the OLED will do it too. Guess we'll find out. Well, alright. That was definitely an experience. Having it drop down into the single digits and tens, it was not a very fun experience. And if anything, it seemed to help it out a little bit. I don't think it would have quite even made an hour if it had just run at the correct speed the whole time. But regardless, this is what it got. We got an hour and 9 minutes. So just barely. I think it would have been right at around 55, 50, 55. Had it just stayed at the normal performance and not been dropping down. But in any case though, now it's time to go see how the original Ally does. Now that one is probably only gonna make it like 40, 50 minutes, but hey, who knows? Maybe it'll surprise me too and get over an hour. Though that shouldn't be possible, because we're just gonna let it do its own thing, just like the rest of the stuff. We're not limiting the wattage or the frame rates or nothing. We're just hit and play, just doing what a normal person would probably do and just let it go. So now on to the Ally. All right, it is now the turn of the Ally Z1 Extreme. So let's go hop on into the game. We'll do what we did before. I forgot to do this on the LCD, but you'll just have to trust me and know that I actually did that. And I did. I don't see any point in lying on this channel. You lose your credibility. What the hell's the point of your channel after all, right? So we're gonna go ahead, let this start up, get some gameplay, and we'll see what it gets when we run out of battery. And we'll also see if it does that weird stuff the original Steam Deck was doing. But I think that was just a Steam Deck issue. Well, all right. The original Ally is down, and it made it a whopping 40 minutes and 50 seconds. So you're definitely not going to be playing a game like Cyberpunk away from a wall outlet with this guy, that's for sure, or a battery bank. And that's the main reason I upgraded both those two things. I wanted to have some actual decent game time. So hey, let's go see how the Steam Deck OLED does now. See if it can at least get like an hour, 2 hours, something like that. Now it is the Steam Deck OLED's turn. See how long it can play Cyberpunk for. Hopefully over 2 hours, but we shall see. Might not even be able to do a 2 hours. So let's do what we've done with everything else and hit go. Oh, here we go. Has to download some content. I think the other Steam Deck did that too. Hopefully this one won't do that weird shit where it was dropping down like 10 FPS. But if it does, I'll let you see. Oh heck, I might even just show you it doesn't do it one way or the other. So anyway, I'm gonna go play for a little while. Yep, I know, a cloud error, don't really care. This isn't about progressing. This is about battery life. Well, all right. Been like 25 minutes, about the length it took to have the LCD start stuttering and doing weird stuff, so I figured we'd run around with this for a little bit and just see if it does it here, but so far, no. Well, yeah. Doesn't really seem to do it on this one. If it rears its ugly little head, of course I'll turn the camera on and show you, but I think we're fine with the OLED model. I don't know what's wrong with my LCD model. Maybe lack of use. Well, alright, the Steam Deck died at 17% battery. Just shut off, so I don't know. I guess since I use it so much, I kind of killed its battery the most out of everything, out of all the handhelds. So there's always like a 15% you can't get. That's no fun. But we still made it up to an hour and 32 minutes and 21 seconds. So still not horrible for a AAA title. But now let's go finish up and see what the Ally X can accomplish. Well, alright, last up, we're going to see how the Asus Ally X handles this little task. And hopefully this one can get up over 2 hours. That would be cool, but it'll still probably beat the Steam Deck. But hey, we won't know until we try. So let's go and do what we've done on everything else. Hit start, and let's go get some gaming done. Well, alright, that is that. It has finally died. And it almost got to 2 hours, but not quite. We got to an hour and 48 minutes and 4 seconds. So it definitely did a little bit better than the Steam Deck. Though the Steam Deck's battery seems to be a little bit on the not so great side, dying at like 16%. This thing at least gets all the way down to 3 before it shuts off. Just like the old one. I'm surprised. The old one also did pretty good. Even the older Steam Deck is doing better. But it is what it is. Still, that is a pretty decent amount of time to be playing a AAA title. And that's, again, we didn't limit the frame rate or the TDP or anything. So there's obviously room for improvement on the battery department too, on all of these. But I think that's about that. So why don't we go ahead and wrap this video on up? Well, alright guys, that is a wrap for this video. And it seems as though the new ones definitely get you some better battery life than these older models. Hey, you're not going to sleep yet. But still, as long as you use the other ones with a power bank or close to a power source, it's not like they're unusable. And you could always turn the TDP down and lower the FPS to 30 or something like that. You could still do some stuff to get you some extra battery life on all of these. We just went in and hit play and went go. That's all we did. We didn't sit here and try and fiddle and get the absolute best battery life we can get. But still a pretty fun video. But that is all for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoy making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.